Noisy. Noisy, especially at night.
Major interstate construction coming to a head this weekend.
A high-tech tunnel running right through the heart of a Denver neighborhood.
I'm CB Cotton, and coming up, a look at what drivers need to know about closures and detours on I-70.
Holy, this needs to be condemned.
Chilling reports from Colorado funeral homes. Families outraged by the mistreatment of their loved ones.
It really made me realize maybe now people want to stand up and take this seriously.
Denver7 investigates the failures that allowed this to happen and what state leaders are pushing to change.
Clouds and gusty winds on the front range this evening. Just a little peek of what's in store for the weekend.
Good evening and welcome to Denver7 News at 10. I'm Jessica Porter.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. Glad you're with us tonight. We want to get right to our chief meteorologist, Mike Nelson, on this Weather Action Day.
Mike, if you've got outdoor plans this weekend, it's probably wise to have a backup.
Certainly anytime after about 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, that is the case. This is the current view from our Viero camera out in Ray, Colorado. You can see the winds bouncing the camera around, some lightning, a little bit of rain. There actually is a tornado warning in effect right now for largely rural areas of southeastern Yuma County. This storm is racing toward the town of Ray at about 50 miles per hour. A lot of lightning, and radar indicates the potential for strong straight line winds and possibly a brief tornado. We have not seen any confirmation of any tornado activity. This is what it looks like over Denver, farther to the south and west. There's actually been snow down in the San Juan Mountains, and tomorrow severe storms are likely again across much of eastern Colorado.
All right, a lot to talk to you about later. Thank you, Mike. Heads up, drivers, a very busy part of I-70 closed in both directions. It's going to stay that way all weekend.
The stretch between Washington Street and I-270 is now shut down.
Crews are working on an overhaul of the interstate there, tearing down the raised viaduct and replacing it with a tunnel.
Our CB Cotton is live this evening. CB, what do drivers need to know?
Well, Shannon and Jessica, there's a lot they need to know. And now that we know that a portion of I-70 is already shut down, it's clear CDOT has wasted no time getting right to work. Earlier today, we saw some crews working in this area, and we know those crews have already started tearing down the viaduct, so drivers are going to have some detours. This pic from CDOT shows the portion of I-70 from Washington Street to I-270 that will be closed from now till Monday at 5 a.m. CDOT recommends using I-25, I-76, and I-270 to get around the closures. Now, all of these detours are part of the bigger Central 70 project, which first began in 2018. The goal of this weekend's Mile High Shift is to move all directions of I-70 traffic off of the viaduct and lower them about 30 feet below ground. And by 2023, CDOT hopes to have constructed a cover park above the interstate. With a lot of changes ahead, CDOT is asking for patience and awareness from drivers.
A lot of brand new features as part of this shift. Need folks to realize that yes, these are all brand new things. You're going to see it the rest of your life. We really need traffic to continue to flow so we're not causing congestion, or worse, we aren't seeing any crashes due to distracted driving.
Now, Denver7's traffic expert Jason Luber has done so much reporting on all these changes that are coming your way, and we've got all those details over on our website, thedenverchannel.com. Reporting live, I'm CB Cotton, Denver7.
CB, thank you. And if you think building a tunnel is a little more than digging a hole in the ground, well, think again. This one is packed with technology. So let's take a closer look at what you can expect. 9 huge jet fans hang from the ceiling. They serve 2 purposes: to clear fumes during a traffic jam, and if there's a fire, they'll clear the smoke so people can get out safely. There's also a deluge system to drown out any flames. Signs outside the tunnel will warn you about lane closures and crashes ahead, and speakers inside allow police to talk to drivers. And just like your phone screen, the tunnel automatically adjusts its own brightness. Sensors monitor the light levels outside and then boost or dim the tunnel lights.
And I covered the Boston Big Dig project for 6 years, so that one rerouted I-93 underground. And having cell phone coverage in that tunnel was a big concern. So for you, this afternoon, I contacted Stacia Sellers with the Central 70 project and put that same question to her about our new tunnel.
That was actually a contract requirement as part of this project, was to make sure that as we're constructing the cover top and opening it up to traffic, that we must maintain cell service. So we have done testing for all 3 carriers or cell phone carriers. So we are able to maintain cell phone coverage, and we do have cell receptors installed in underneath the cover top as well.
So I guess the bad news here is you can't use "I can't hear you, I'm going into a tunnel" as an excuse to end a phone call.
Well, this weekend marks a disruption for drivers, but dig a little deeper and you'll see that people living in the surrounding neighborhood have been putting up with noise, traffic, and construction for years. The Elyria-Swansea neighborhood is predominantly Latino. It's also one of the city's poorest neighborhoods. Community groups worry that with CDOT adding things like toll lanes, shoulders, and ramps, they are taking too much away from the neighborhood.
I don't think you would ask wealthier neighborhoods to make such a sacrifice for the region.
Some neighbors we spoke with say one big plus of the project is the sense of safety the tunnel gives them.
It eliminates, first of all, the traffic, the danger of accidents, of cars flying down from the highway.
As part of the project, a park with soccer fields will be built over the tunnel.
What makes me sick to my stomach?
Body parts sold, decaying bodies stored for months and years.
Families deserve much more honor and respect than what you just showed in that report.
For 2 years, Denver7 Investigates put the spotlight on families horrified by how their loved ones were treated at Colorado funeral homes.
We can take action to improve it and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Tonight, Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kovaleski digs into what allowed this to happen in our state and what lawmakers now want to see change.
Do you want to explain why you chopped up bodies? That's what the allegation is. Is it true? You sold bodies to body brokers. Families had no idea. Tell me what people don't understand. Will you talk to us, sir?
Get off the property.
Our report begins with a pledge. Mr. Kent? Hello? We want to answer one critical question. We've come to Leadville to hear your side of this story. Why? Why does it continue to happen in Colorado?
I go to sleep with the visions of him being dismembered with a power saw.
The owner of Sunset Mesa Funeral Home and her mom federally indicted.
Just cut him up in pieces and send him all over the place.
Accused of crimes for selling body parts all over the world without the family's consent.
How many of you were not told that she was going to sell your loved one's body? No discussion about selling body parts.
None.
No. Wait, County Sheriff's Office, open up the door now!
Accusations of funeral director misconduct also surfaced in Leadville.
There's random bodies and all over the place. This is a show.
Shannon Kent, the Lake County coroner and one-time owner of funeral homes in 6 mountain counties, arrested and charged for more than a dozen crimes, including 4 felonies for abusing a corpse.
This is just so disconcerting for anyone that ever dies.
Reaction to that report?
Unconscionable. Should not have happened.
Former Colorado lawmaker Debbie Stafford tried to fix the funeral industry 15 years ago.
A lot of people are at fault, and it needs to be exposed, and it needs to be stopped.
Stafford says the failures land inside the state capitol after years of failing to pass accountability laws for the funeral industry.
Is this a wake-up call for lawmakers in Colorado?
I believe it is, Tony. The lack of regulation is huge.
Heath Carroll is one of the state's most respected funeral directors. He was called in to help with the decaying bodies discovered in Shannon Kent's Leadville funeral home.
An inspector walking into that building would have smelled the decomposition and the filth that was going on in that basement.
That didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
It did not happen because for years, Colorado lawmakers have not given state regulators the authority to inspect funeral homes. Should the people of Colorado be outraged that you have the authority to inspect a nail salon, but you can't go into a funeral home?
I do think that it is notable, and I do understand where people would be confused.
State regulator Karen McGovern confirmed to Denver7 that her employees have conducted routine inspections of nail salons in recent months. but did not have the power to inspect Shannon Kent's funeral homes even after receiving multiple complaints. Did the current legal structure impede your ability to move faster in this case?
I would say that the one piece that certainly would have enabled us to move faster would have been inspection authority.
What does it say when the state's regulatory body can inspect a nail salon and can't go into a funeral home?
It says we have some work to do.
State Representative Dylan Roberts' district includes several of Shannon Kent's former funeral homes.
Upon seeing your investigation and all of these stories that have come out, this is something we need to look into and something we need to improve.
Which brings us back to that one question. Why? Why Colorado? And why wasn't this fixed 15 years ago?
Did you expect that legislation to pass?
Absolutely. We gave clear and compelling evidence that Colorado needed to bring oversight and to shine a light into that industry.
Debbie Stafford wanted to add legislative guardrails to the funeral industry.
When Governor Owens vetoed your bill, how did you react?
I could not believe there would be so much pushback, and the pushback came from some parts of the industry that didn't want to be held accountable.
An industry that now, more than a decade later, must try to explain accusations of selling body parts in Montrose and storing decaying bodies in the basement of that Leadville funeral home.
A tragedy?
An atrocity.
We made multiple attempts to reach out to former Governor Bill Owens. Our calls were not returned. State Representative Dylan Roberts says new oversight for the funeral industry will be one of his top priorities during next year's legislative session. We will continue to watch. I'm Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kowaleski.
Bear with us. An incredible sight in Boulder today. What rangers are recommending to keep wildlife away from your backyard.
It's clearly escalating, so I hope it doesn't get any worse.
Vandals hit an Inglewood business over and over.
I have a right to make my own decisions.
The owner now concerned her staff are being targeted because of their developmental disabilities.
Denver 7 Weather Action Day for Saturday as severe storms are likely on the plains.